the remote hills and broad valleys of the Yorkshire Dales. And Bill Mitchell, a journalist who's known and loved them all his life. 40 years he's worked on the Dalesman magazine, 24 as editor, and now he's to retire. To the many Yorkshire folk who know him, he is the Dalesman.
People come into the Dales, they go up the well-known valleys, they go back thinking they've seen everything, and in fact, if you look at a map, you'll discover these vast areas of almost unexplored country lying in between. That's one side of it, it's the scenery. But I think the thing that has kept me in the area is the variability of the people and the fact there are still characters. Actually, the first time I saw a copy of the Dalesman was the very first issue, which was held up in a schoolroom by a history master who announced this was the first issue of a new magazine. And then we jump a few years to the middle of the war, and I was up in the editorial room at the Craven Huddled, feeling, very proud of myself and having landed this particular job, a sharp pencil in my top pocket, notebook prickling my side, and ruining my jacket. And the door suddenly opened, and in came this breezy character called Harry J. Scott, and he was smelling of peat and tweed and tobacco smoke. It was lovely, really. And instead of saying good morning or hello, he said, "Hail to thee, blithe spirit," and that marked him out as someone special. I was eventually invited to go up to Clapham and to join Mr. Scott there. Always called him Mr. Scott, by the way, and never Harry. We were very correct in those days.
The first issue of the Yorkshire Dalesman, as it was then known, was printed in 1939 and cost just threepence. It's still written in a converted stable block in the village of Clapham on the Yorkshire-Lancashire border. It's here that Bill Mitchell writes his countless columns about the Dales. The magazine is printed in Bradford, a bustling contrast to its gentle origins, at the small printing company of Smiths. It's here that 56,000 copies are printed every month, 3,000 of them going overseas. Copies go to the Himalayan foothills, the Far East and the Falkland Islands, to Canada and America.
They go to most parts of the world. Half a dozen go to Japan. One goes to a place on the Himalayan foothills called Bhutan. And I would suggest there are 15 Yorkshire people out there, because one gathers the average number of readers per copy is 15, and if there were more than 15, they'd need 2 copies. The largest number go to Canada, something over 1,000. But the majority of the copies go to those parts of the world which used to be known as the British Empire. And there's always a flood of letters. If anyone collects foreign stamps, they do extremely well at these offices.
We get some lovely letters from, particularly from abroad. People who long for the Yorkshire Dales. This is one from Massachusetts, USA. I cannot begin to tell you how impressed I am with my Dalesman, a gift of my cousin. Sadly, my cousin has now died, and all too soon the subscription will run out. It doesn't take too much nudging to love Yorkshire. My grandparents were Yorkshiremen, and I am deeply rooted there. The only thing that I don't like about the Dalesman is that it makes me very sad and lonely for the beautiful places that I left my heart in. But I suppose that too is why I love every moment I spend in the Dales by way of your beautiful and humorous stories. Give Yorkshire a hug for me. It is my special place in all the world. Bless you all.
David Joy is taking over as editor. He's worked with Bill Mitchell at the Dalesman for 22 years.
David, I think we'll go for brightness in March, shall we?
Yes.
Extra brightness. Can you see anything there that appeals to you?
Cheer people up after a long winter. I think that's a good idea. So probably an outdoor shop rather than...
There's one here of shoppers.
Yes.
Purple dress. I don't know what the old ladies up at Hawes would think of that, but and there's a purple blouse here. But I don't know. I have a feeling I'd like to go out to the coast in March. What do you think of that?
Yes, probably not the street scene. That would get people over there and think of holidays and the like, wouldn't it, at that time of year?
Blue sky, white clouds.
Yes.
All's well in the world.
That's right.
And the Yorkshire coast is looking wonderful. Let's try and find one of the Yorkshire coast, shall we? With its red pantile roofs. Scarborough Harbour.
Yes.
With red roofs.
Yes.
Blue sea.
Yes.
Blue sky.
Absolutely fine.
Wonderful. What we try to do is to aim for covers that satisfy us all, you see, because in that case we even take the pictures out and show other members of the staff, you see. And if we do get wholesale approval, well, we feel quite confident in using it. We try to get a nice little blend of stuff, and we like to have a reasonable amount of colour in as well. And of course, Dales families, they're always a popular feature, with the occasional cartoon. And so really it's like making a cake, really. You get the various ingredients and blend them together, and certainly put plenty of readers' contributions in as well, because every reader, I think, feels that they have the makings of being editor of the Dalesman, and we like to encourage that particular feeling. Readers' Club, that has always been a homely feature. Didn't call it correspondence, called it Readers' Club, and everyone feels to be members of a rather interesting club. And so every month we try to bring out a lovely blend of history and people and places and things, but all Yorkshire, with staunchly and devotedly Yorkshire. Actually, the editing of the Dalesman does not take place in the office at all. It takes place as you're walking about. If I go for a morning walk and set off from home and, say, walk for about 3 miles, I usually come back with 3 or 4 good ideas. We have a lot of good friends who send in articles, and so there's never any problem at all at filling the Dalesman with what you might call Dalesman sort of material. Actually, the image at the back of my mind is always the image of the Dalesman. When I'm making up the issue, here is my Dalesman coming along, striding across the fells with his dog, unhappy if he ever got into a crowd, happy with his own thoughts, living his own quiet life. A man who's tremendously independent, a man who's truly a character, and by character I would suggest it's someone who's got his own original way of looking at the world. He doesn't allow other people to influence him too greatly. He's realistic, a little taciturn. Taciturnity has been summed up as the ability to say note for a long time, and you certainly get that characteristic in the Dales. Thrifty, hospitable, a little touch of the Norseman of old. Could you get the dog on the wall for me?
Lassie, jump up here. Jump up. Come over here, Lassie. Come here.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, that's lovely. Could you stand near it for me, please? Thank you, and then just look this way and a nice smile. Lovely. Thank you very much. This morning we're going to see Mary Hartley and Joan Ingleby. They've been contributing to the Dalesman since the earliest days. In fact, they came into the Dales in the 1930s, which was a wonderful time, because then the old way of life was complete. Dales life grew up in isolation, and they not only came in here, but they had the wit to talk to local people, to record it through Mary Hartley's beautiful drawings.
Margaret will come today. We found some thrilling things about the Dalesman.
Oh, my word, yes, you're having a very nostalgic time, I notice, yes.
You sit down.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad I told you I was coming, actually. And,
I found the old early letters that Harry Scott wrote to us.
Have you?
In the 1939, when the Dalesman was being formed.
May I have a look at one?
Yes. Well, this is the very first letter we received telling us about the Dalesman, and it was from Sir Linton Andrews, who was then editor of the Leeds Mercury, saying that he had a friend called Harry J. Scott, who used to be on the Yorkshire Post and is now a freelance journalist, hoping to start a little magazine to be called the Yorkshire Dalesman, appearing monthly, and he would very much like to have a contribution from you for the first number.
Do you happen to remember how much you were paid for that contribution?
Yes, that comes in another letter later. Oh. With sincere apologies.
I don't think you'd be able to retire on the proceeds, would you?
So. 1 guinea each.
Oh.
A guinea for the article, and then later on I was asked to illustrate them, and also to occasionally contribute a drawing, you know, in the middle of the book, of the magazine. And I got a guinea too. But he was very apologetic, and that went on. We've contributed in the first volume of the Dalesman for the first year, 12 articles and 12 drawings.
Their books span 60 years and reflect traditions and a way of life now lost to the Yorkshire Dales. There have been changes at the Dalesman too, but they agree Bill's been a good editor.
He's not only kept it going, but he's seen it into modern times, I think, hasn't he?
Yes,
Don't you think he's kept it on very well? And he's just as full of ideas as ever Scott was, I think.
And the format seems to me more up to date now than it was originally.
And the Dalesman, of course, is a better name than the Yorkshire Dalesman somehow.
So, can you tell a Bill Mitchell edition from a Harry Scott edition?
Yes, I think so. Yes. Certain features were kept on because they were too valuable to drop, but
looking through the old ones, as we have been doing, it's very interesting because old names crop up. We said, oh, yes, I remember that person always used to write. And, of course, they've dropped out now.
What would you say were Bill's greatest strengths as editor?
He's very good with people, isn't he? He's very good at interviews and that kind of thing and getting the truth out of people. And he doesn't romance at all. He gets the real stuff and puts it over in an interesting kind of way, I think, yes.
I hate the place altering at all. I hate the barns being converted into villas and all that. One of the things about Bill is that he has a much more sanguine attitude to all that. He's more magnanimous in a way. I mean, I don't mean he condones the terrible things that do happen, the sort of suburbanisation and so on, but he's much more prepared to regard the place as a living community. And the magazine reflects that as well, I think. I like it because it's not really changed in all the time I've been here, really. All the time I've read it, it's very old-fashioned, which in my view, in my book is a compliment. I don't actually buy my copy. It's passed on to me by Eileen Plumridge, who works in the Dalesman office. I think a lot of people's copies are passed on to them, and they don't age. I mean, you can open a copy, you know, from 1954, and it's exactly the same as it is now. The recipes and the articles, and it's all very much the same. And I imagine that's part of its charm, really. They do have wonderful stories in there. I mean, there's a story once of a policeman on point duty in Oxford Circus, and it was a very, very busy day, and he spotted a little man trying to cross the road, and eventually this old chap manages to get to the island where the policeman is, and the policeman says, well, it's busy today, and the old man says, hi, well, it will be, there's a trip in from Dent. Well, it should be explained, Dent is got a community of about 200 people, and that's the kind of joke that the Dalesman likes, and which I like. The kind of spirit of the magazine isn't kind of the Freddie Truman type, you know, Yorkshire's best, all that. It's much more, well, as I say, quizzical. It's more whimsical as well. It's not aggressive. The size of the magazine's got something to do with it. I mean, that it is actually still in a very small format. It's like a parish magazine in a way.
There was one magical moment. I was waiting for the bus in the impoverished years before I bought a car, and a kingfisher passed. And it was a summer's day with deep shadows, and this bird shot through a patch of sunlight. It was marvellous, yes. And then also we had dippers.
Yes, I remember dippers. I remember seeing dippers, that's right. And I've never seen a kingfisher, ever. The time I like best is autumn, when I'm going to go blackberrying or mushrooming. I mean, everybody knows their own place where they know mushrooms grow, and they don't tell anybody else, I think.
I'm off to see Arthur Hodgson. He's a great friend of mine. He and his wife Doreen come from the Upper Dales, good Dales stock, and I regard this as a sort of spiritual home. It's a nice, quiet place. It's a fascinating area full of oak trees, hazels, and it's got some wonderful deer. I first met Arthur when he recovered a little orphan calf, a deer calf, and this had been found in a hayfield, and Arthur brought it up and he looked after it and he called it Bambi. And Bambi became the mother and then the grandmother and then the great-grandmother of a great family of sika deer, and some of the daughters and granddaughters are in the little herd today.
Come on, Hannah. Oh, Bill, good morning.
You keeping well?
Aye, all right, are you?
Nice to see you.
Aye, it's nice to see
Still
you.
up to your circus tricks, are you?
Oh, yes, aye. Do you want your share?
Well, when are you going to bring the big stools out and have them jumping over? Hmm?
No, we haven't got to that yet.
Ah, could that be Mrs. Hodgson in the garden?
She is. She's just digging some up ready for putting in the greenhouse for winter. Come on, Dre, let's have a cup of tea, lass.
Can you not make one yourself?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Arthur's a farmer who's lived and worked in the Dales all his life. He's a great maker of walking sticks and a regular inspiration of stories and anecdotes for the Dalesman. How long have you known Bill?
Oh, about 19 years. 1968, I think it was, when we first got Bambi. I knew of him, you know, but not as a personal friend. You know, that's when I really got to know Bill. He heard about us having Bambi, and of course, him being a naturalist and keen on deer and everything, he came to see us, see Bambi, and that's how we struck up our friendship. Been good friends ever since. Yeah, grand chap to know, good to talk to. If you want to know anything about the Dales or anything, ask Bill, he'll tell you. He's a journalist, but he's a Dalesman as well. He's lived in it all his life. He's done nothing else. And before he started on the Dalesman, he was from Skipton, and he's always lived there. He was on a paper there, and he used to do things about the Dales, and he's done things about the Dales ever since. And he's good at it as well. He has a good sense of humour, and he can come out with all sorts of anecdotes about the Dales. You know, he comes out with some really good ones. You know, and you can get a laugh at him. I think the Dalesman grand little book. My wife goes to bed and reads it every night. She forgets about me. When she gets to bed, she picks book up, Dalesman or the Cumbria, starts reading that. I might as well lie to the bedroom. What notice she takes? Dalesman.
You buy it then, you don't borrow it?
Oh, no, we buy it. Well, I'm telling a bit of a fib. Bill, once a month, well, it comes more than once a month, don't get me wrong, but every month end, Bill lands, "Here, Arthur," and he brings in, he chucks us Dalesman, and I'll say how much. Well, I'm having a cup of tea and a bit of cake and a biscuit. That about covers cost, Arthur. You know, he's like that, is Bill. You know, he's not tight, he's not stingy. He doesn't at year end say, "Hey, Arthur, you didn't pay us for them Dalesman," or anything like that. No. I believe he's retiring shortly, and I think the Dalesman will miss him. You know, I think they should have said he was still 50-year-old and kept him on for another 10 years.
If I hadn't been handing over to David Joy, I would certainly have felt ill at ease, and I couldn't have left the Dalesman with the pleasant and happy feelings I've got at the moment. The thing about David is that he is a Dalesman. He lives in the Dales, he knows the Dales, he knows the Dalesman, and so I'm sure he'll make a very, very good job of editing the magazine.
Jeff, can I break you off a minute? This is Bill Mitchell, editor of the...
How do you do?
Now then, Jeff. It's nice to see a proper wall.
50-year guarantee, that. Do you prefer limestone or millstone?
No, it's
grit?
immaterial.
It's immaterial,
yeah?
what you
I don't
wore
mind
with.
what it is.
Yes.
Once you get the bottom in, you're aware that's the hardest point for your back, the bottom. Digging out the big stones and that.
I've tried it, and it's just this batter I can't get. I'm sure that's harder than
Well, you move the stone in a fraction every time and you get a beautiful batter.
Jeff, I'm fascinated by your life in Littendale. Would that be in the 1940s when you sort of grew up there?
Yes, I grew up in... I left Cracow, went to Littendale from school. Farm work, because there was nothing but farm work in them days.
Yes.
And then you start walling and you get into it, and that's it. And then eventually branch out and become a freelance waller instead of farm working.
And so you were one of what, 10 children?
I was one of 10, 12 born, but 10 reared.
Yes.
And one died in the war, and that left 9 of us.
Life must have been fairly hard then, was it?
We lived on what the pig porridge we had for breakfast, you know, oatmeal with mouse smoke in it. Dad said, shut up, it'll fill up and things like that. And he had bread, homemade bread and things like that, and scones. And you had a quart of milk between about 5 of us. And if you spilled it on the way home, well, that was it. Sometimes when you ran out of milk, you had black treacle in it. You know what black treacle is, don't you? Yeah.
And plenty of rabbits, no doubt.
Oh, the rabbit pies were fantastic, yes.
You get sick of the sight of rabbits.
And my brother once used to fetch home swan eggs. They made some lovely custards, things like that.
Yeah.
And you had to survive the best you could.
I almost feel a custodian of a great tradition in a way, and I've got to have that very much at the back of my mind for the sake of the almost 60,000 people who buy the magazine, and of course the many, many more who read it. And certainly change must be gradual, but on the other hand, you've got to avoid the trap of becoming totally fossilised and saying that the Dalesman must continue exactly as it is, down to the last page. You've got to introduce gradual changes, but not go totally wild.
One of the wonders and the pleasures of doing work with a monthly magazine like the Dalesman is the opportunity that I've had for travel over a vast distance, all the way from the Tees down into Bowland, all the way from the fells around Sedbergh down to the Humber. I've met such a lot of interesting people. I've just, in a sense, become aware of my ignorance about Yorkshire. Years ago, I could have stood up and confidently lectured about Yorkshire. I haven't got the same amount of confidence today because the more you find out about a thing, perversely, the less you seem to know about it. And so what I hope to do in the future is to go into the areas I've not already been into and to explore a little more fully the subjects that I've tackled in a rather shallow fashion during the past 40 years. The Dales that we first recorded way back in the 1940s are not really the Dales that you see today. You recognise quite a lot of the fundamentals, you recognise the landscape, you certainly recognise the weather. Readers, I don't think, want to be surprised or shocked by something dramatically new, but change is taking place all the time and will continue to take place, I hope. The Dalesman has proved to be something of a river, and so, you know, it just goes flowing on. And I hope, like a river, it's unstoppable.